Hi everyone and welcome back. I know what's going on. I am very sorry. Yes, we are running a little bit late. It's me. I haven't prepared and I've sort of just gone rogue today, rushing around, just got the kids off to bed. So do bear with me. And yes, whoa, limbs. I know, mate, I know. But we're here. We're here to talk Burnley Leeds. So without further ado, thanks for coming and sit back and enjoy CFE TV. So hello guys, welcome to the stream. I know Charlie, it's bad, isn't it? Pope being injured. Hopefully he's back and fighting fit come Saturday. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Obviously we are getting an opposition fan on, and we do have here Leeds supporter. We have Jinder Jade from the El Loco Leeds. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you for having me on, my friend.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. I just want to start by obviously wishing everybody a happy Eid Mubarak from everybody at Cricket Field End. Hope that you've had a good one. That said, straight on to you. And I mean, give yourself an intro, plug your channel, and tell us a bit about yourself and how long you've supported Leeds.
Yeah, well, the journey started for me as a Leeds United fan. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not from Yorkshire. As much as I love Leeds and I would love to be there, I don't reside from there. I'm from the Midlands, and but Aston Villa weren't cutting the mustard for me as a youngster. Even though there's a lot of claret and blue I can see on the screen here. If it's a choice between the claret and blue of Burnley or Villa, I'll go for Burnley any day of the week. But yeah, it's the journey started for me as a Leeds United fan in 1989. Saw the wonderful play of Gordon Strachan, David Batty, Gary Speed. You know, we had Vinnie Jones back then, and you know that's when I sort of got into football. You know, Italia '90, sort of Gaza and all that kind of stuff. You know, that's when for people of my age group sort of fell in love with the world of football, and Leeds United were one of those teams that you could just fall for, and that's when I started, and I've been with them through thick and thin. And as I'm a musician, I'm a singer, so sometimes I can't get over to Elland Road, but I have played there, and so the El Loco Leeds football channel started in the pandemic, and it's just sort of gone strength to strength, really. And we always try to do level-headed match day reaction videos and preview videos and stuff. And so we try not to be derogatory to any other club, because you know I understand that every club has their own story. Burnley style is different to Leeds United style. Manchester City style is different to Liverpool style. So it's you got to keep in context. So I try to keep it a very level-headed approach, and you know I just like to do this YouTube thing, and I've just stumbled upon it in the lockdown period, and it's going well. And your subscribers are most welcome to join us. Sometimes we do say stuff in banter, but thank you for having me, Dan. Looking forward to
no problem. Thanks for coming on and stuff. It's a pleasure. Like I say, any of our subscribers, if you want to head over and give Jinder Jade a follow, or the El Loco Leeds channel, go and subscribe to that. Just a few comments we've got one from Melina. Hi, hope you're well. Charlie, can I ask some questions? Of course you can. I'll try and get them on if they fit in with what we're talking about. So yeah, fire them in. I mean, I will start by to be fair, I was going to put it in a bit further on, but obviously there's a lot of clubs recently that have been, you know, they've been allocated a certain amount of tickets for you know, the last home games and things like that for season ticket holders. And obviously some of this pretty much today and tomorrow is when people are finding out whether they've been successful for that. We've had a few Burnley fans that have been successful. I'm not a season ticket holder myself, so sorry to all those in the chat, or if you leave thinking I'm part-time, then I'm not. I've just got other priorities at the moment, children and things like that. So yeah, for me, I just want to get your thoughts on it. What's your thoughts on, you know, having bums on seats sort of thing, and, you know, being able to have fans back in the stadium? Because Ellen Road's a very intimidating place when it's full, but I suppose it could still be an intimidating place when you've got just a few thousand in as well.
Yeah, it's a unique question that is to start off with, Dan. First of all, I think it's fantastic that we're getting signs of normality back to our lives, you know, and, you know, football fans or anything like that brings a bit of normality into our lives, and I think that's a good thing. So you know, I think with Elland Road being the way it is, it's an old traditional ground, so any bit of noise is going to be channeled really, really well. And we've been allocated 8,000 tickets. We've got almost 40,000 at Elland Road, and 8,000 is still, we could still have a bit more because there'll still be social distance, but we have to follow what the guidelines the government are putting out and follow it to the best of our ability. I don't know with yourselves. I know Turf Moor is, you know, I think you have about 15. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, our stadium capacity is about 22,000 roughly, and we've been allocated 3,500, which is all we've been allocated. But at the end of the day, I think it's progress. Obviously, we've got to take it as it comes. I just want to give a shout out at the moment to, I saw this earlier, and I was, you know, it's a strange one because it got me thinking, and it is regarding a Leeds supporter. It is Andrew Pinder. I mean, I've got to give him a shout out there because he's on his way from the USA. He lands in Leeds in the morning, 6 days in quarantine, and then West Brom it is, as he's been confirmed his ticket. Now, I thought it was just going to be, you know, people in the sort of postcode area. But fair play. I mean, it has been a long slog as lockdown and COVID. So for him to get on a plane and come over here to watch his beloved football team, fair play to him. So I think he does deserve a shout out there.
Now, thank you for that, Dan. I think, look, this is signs of normality, and he's following the protocols. You know, he's going to do the quarantine, and you know, it's one of them things that I think, as football fans, football has sort of kept us going in the last, you know, we owe a debt of gratitude to all our clubs, you know, for doing what they've done for the fans, you know. And I mean, myself, I'm not a season ticket holder at Leeds. You know, I don't claim to say, I'd rather be honest with you. And and like I said, but when they've been to the Midlands, or, you know, I've tried to go and see Leeds play. It's been very, very difficult because of the size of the club that is. It's very hard to get a ticket to watch Leeds United. Even in our barren years in the Championship, we've met a few times in the Championship, and you know, we still packed in a crowd, and we still brought an audience to the game, shall we say? And it's been difficult, and it's difficult to get, you know, tickets for Leeds, you know, after the millennium, anyways. And you'd think we wouldn't have had that interest, but you know, the interest in Leeds United is huge. And you know, you if you're a true football fan, you stay with your team through thick and thin, and you support them up and down the country. I mean, I would like to watch more games at Elland Road, but like I said, due to my musical career, I couldn't really fit that many games in as much as I liked.
No, it's totally understandable. Like you say, everybody sort of has things that they need to do in life. Rich is in, so Liverpool must already be winning. So if he's already in and watching us, sorry, Rich, but yeah, no, hi to you, mate. Hope you're well, and thanks for tuning in. Uh,
He's come for his agent fees, hasn't he? Because he
yeah,
brokered the
yeah,
deal, didn't he, between me and you?
he has. He'll be like, "That's it. You need to come on my channel on Monday to pay your debt." But but no. Cheers for cheering in, Rich. I mean, what are your thoughts on this season then? Obviously, it's been a strange one with no fans, as we've already sort of touched on, but it's been a solid season for your guys this year. I mean, if you can cement that top 10 finish, even finishing in 10th, it's a remarkable season, because early on in the season you were talking about that the football's good to watch, but it's not sometimes getting the results that Bielsa's wanting. So I mean, to be in the top 10 from being promoted it's a quality season. I mean, what are your thoughts?
It's been a great season, and that's due to Marcelo Bielsa. That factor of having such a world-class manager, one of the elite guys in the world, coaching us. But this, my friend, has been a plan in the making for the last couple of years. We were, with all due respect to Bournemouth and teams like that who are in the Premier League. We were well suited to coming into the Premier League, because the way we were playing football, the game didn't that particular game didn't suit the Championship. That style of football doesn't. Our style of football in the Premier League just sort of suits us, and the way our players are, that kind of continental style. That's the difference between Burnley style and our style. You've got players that played for us. I saw a comment where it was, Peacock Farrell, young keeper, played for us.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
He wouldn't fit in our style of play because he's not good with his feet. Our goalkeeper, who you just mentioned, Kiko Casilla, does make a few errors, but he's our backup goalkeeper. But he's good with his feet. He can pick out a pass. But the chap that you're seeing, who's our number one, Ilya Meslier, he is a bit of a sweeper keeper, isn't he? So
Yeah.
We've got those players. I mean, Chris Wood was phenomenal at Leeds, but we were playing a different sort of style. We were under Gary Monk, a very pragmatic team, and we played. Sean Dyche is much better manager than Gary Monk, and Burnley have got some good players. I'm not completely disregarding your team at all, but what I'm saying is that certain players have a certain style and it fits that certain club, and you embody that style and it works well for you guys. So I didn't think that we would have struggled in the Premier League. I thought we'll be about 12th, and so to get a top 10 finish is really, really good. But then again, I was wary of teams like yourselves who were the Premier League teams.
Yeah, I mean, look at your last 5 results. They saw sort of mixed. Obviously, taking it back to the win against Spurs.
Yes.
Which that was the recent result, wasn't it?
Yes.
That was absolutely solid for me. It was it sort of scared me going into this game, really, because that sort of attacking threat you've got. But then we've seen again with Leeds this season, where the game before, losing 2-0 to Brighton, teams that they should be beating comfortably, or you'd expect them to sort of take the game to, would have, you'd expect a result. But then you go back further and you've got the draw against United, the draw against Liverpool, and then the last minute winner against Man City, which, even just look at just them last 5 results are absolutely outstanding. If you were to say of any game you would have lost, you'd probably would have thought it was one of the big ones. But you've done really well with them 5 results, like I say. So is there any sort of worry on your side going into this game? Because we at the moment are a team that you don't know what you're going to get week in, week out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always worry because football's a very unpredictable sport, as you know, and anybody can beat anybody. Seeing that there's no fans in the play in this season, so it is a bit topsy turvy. I mean, you guys have got some really good results against Liverpool, and you're a plucky team. And but I don't have a fear as such going in playing against Burnley as the fear that I had against Manchester City, and Liverpool and Manchester United. But then again, I didn't have any fear against playing Brighton. But that kind of approach, we always do struggle against Brighton for some reason. They know how to sort of play, and if you guys play with your approach that the way you do, you sit in there, you get men behind the ball, and then you're going to frustrate us, because that's what happened. That's that is the antidote to Bielsa's football, sitting in and stuff like that. But we get you on a good day, we could hammer you probably, but it's football is not won on paper, it's won on the pitch, and it's very, very difficult to predict anything.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, obviously, you said there about Bielsa and his way of football. He's not really spoke about. He's not really a name that's touted for other jobs, is he? Which is a surprise, really, for the caliber of manager he is. And I could see him sort of, doing something like looking like like the Spurs job. I'll just put it out there. I'll throw it out there. I won't skirt around it. The Spurs job is obviously up for grabs. And it's a case of there's a lot of managers coming out saying, well, I don't want it. You've got Graham Potter at Brighton saying, well, I won't be interested. Brendan Rodgers ruling himself out. I mean, surely with the project that Bielsa's got going with Leeds at the moment, you'd expect him to follow suit. But could you see Bielsa eventually, not now, but eventually sort of joining a top 6 side as a manager? Because he has got the credentials and the CV to back it up, really, hasn't he?
Yeah. See, this is where I have to come in. It's the plan, the project that we started a few years ago. And the thing is, we want to be top 6. For us, we don't want to be this year. Okay, we have to consolidate, and Marcelo Bielsa knows that. And I think if he goes to Tottenham, we're 2 points behind Tottenham.
Yeah,
the season has mirrored. The best thing that Tottenham Hotspur could have done was to actually to keep Jose Mourinho, because that fit was okay. Sometimes it takes time to build something, and Mourinho, I thought, done well. There was nothing wrong with him. Some clubs think that it's you're destined to play this kind of blowing bubbles football or whatever it is. There's you've got to look at it. Tottenham, attacking football, but it wasn't winning you anything. They'd done well with Pochettino, but it wasn't getting them to a final, which Mourinho got them. I think for Marcelo Bielsa, he knows that he's a man of morals, and he's a man of his word. And you see all this business of 1 year contracts. That's the way he works. He assesses things, and he looks at clubs, and he sees how he fits into that culture of that club. And he likes Leeds, he likes Yorkshire. I'm from what I look at it, he prefers the northern lifestyle compared to the southern lifestyle, the hustle and bustle of London. It doesn't appeal to him. He's not one of them people for him, it's Leeds United, and then it's where he started his career, Newell's Old Boys in Argentina. That's what I think.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, when he came in, for me, I think a lot of fans will say the same thing. When's he going to take that intensive language course? I think he came out with a statement recently, didn't he, saying something about, I'm sorry that I've not really sat down and learned English and things like that, which is fair play to him, because at the end of the day, he has took a job on, and people do ask, well, how does he get his point across? His translator can't sort of stand there listening to him and then go and sort of tell it in the same sort of attitude and the same demeanour. So it's good that it works for you guys. I mean, we can touch on, memories of past matches. Obviously, we'll look at this season's earlier fixture. I mean, for me personally, it was a game that it was a typical Burnley Leeds fixture. It was controversy. It was, there was a lot of things going on. Should your penalty have been a penalty? Did Pope catch him? But then yet again, it's also one of those where if it was at the other end, I'd have been calling for it myself. So I can't really say too much. I think we were definitely cheated out of a penalty with the knee to the back. If not the penalty, the goal should have stood that came from that. So it was such a game that I sat there after that incident and I sort of switched off from the game because I'd lost my head at that point. When you do, as you do in the moment, you sort of think, I can't believe it. Dirty Leeds have cheated us again.
Oh, those horrible, pesky, dirty Leeds should be back in the Championship. But it's I think in one way, the Championship, we didn't have this VAR nonsense. You don't know whether to cheer for the goal. You don't know whether VAR was supposed to actually help the game. I think it's hindered the game because of what we're talking about now, because of that knee in the back. Yeah, if the referee had called it, these things are going to be happening. It's happened to us. I feel aggrieved as well. Bamford has had about 3 goals disallowed. One from his fingernail being offside. One for his toenail being offside against Wolves. So these things are just one of them. Harry Kane got a goal disallowed against us last week. Sorry, and I do feel bad that they need to do something to check it out, but to get the VAR, it's the referee is really they need to wake up a little bit, because like your comment has just come on the screen, the referees need to be a bit more observant and use VAR correctly. Look at Aston Villa. Their whole footballing Premier League status was decided on technology,
Yeah.
And now you flip it over, it's Sheffield United who've gone down. So, you got to look at it. That one mistake has ruined one other club, and it's made another club really successful, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think you could ask the same question as well when in regards to the Villa situation. Yes, technically Villa shouldn't be a Premier League side this season. They should be in the Championship. You can ask, why didn't the referee take it back at half time and say, okay, second half we come out and it's 1-0? It should have been that situation, because you find yourself looking back at the United game. I think was that against Brighton, I think, when Maupay scored in the dying minutes and was sort of giving it all this shush stuff. And then obviously game full-time whistles blown. And then 2 minutes later, all the players are back on the pitch, and Man United have got a penalty. It's even though the full-time whistle's gone. So it's sort of it's like one rule for one rule for the other, which isn't fair, really. Okay, we can argue that Aston Villa should have been down, but yeah, that's what I don't like, and I don't like the fact that there's not been any repercussions for the Super League yet. I think that should have been the forefront as soon as everything came out. I can't understand why that's they're hoping that everyone brushes that under the carpet at the moment, or they wait until the end of the season before giving out repercussions and things like that and point deductions. But I mean, what's your thoughts on the Super League as well? I mean, while we're touching on that.
I'm with you. I'm with the 14 clubs, and we're in that 14 club bracket. Yeah. And what it is, that football is for the people, and it's for people who have no denominator of rich, poor, green, blue, purple. You can all follow football. You can all play football. It's one of the cheapest sports around. You just if you haven't got goalposts, you just put your jackets on, out on the ground, and you can play. And how much does a football cost in reality? Less than a tenner. Yeah. You don't have to go for the. I'm just going totally budget football. And
does the job, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And to take it away in a way that only a chosen few can get the slice of the pie, and teams that are 10th and think that they're top six, their season didn't reflect. Arsenal were 10th, we were 9th at that time, even when that Super League was coming to play. So I think it would have ruined football. As for repercussions, I doubt what they. Remember, it's the chosen ones, isn't it? They never do anything to Liverpool. They never do anything to Manchester United. They will never do anything to Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal. That will never happen. And they won't touch Manchester City either, because they're the champions of England. So that never will work. If it was Leeds United, if it was, I don't know, somebody else, yourselves maybe, or they would really make an example out of it. I know for sure that they would have made an example out of Leeds. They don't touch Derby County either. They should have points. They should have points.
I think they're looking at it for next season, aren't they? Now, if they do get a point deduction, but then yet again, it's also another situation where why should you wait? Why should you wait? The 14-point deduction you give, the 15 or 14-point deduction they gave Sheffield Wednesday is the reason why they've gone down.
Absolutely.
And Leeds sort of had not a point deduction, but they've had a similar fate in terms of, they dropped down the leagues to League One at one point, and you've done that rebuilding process and things like that. So why is it okay to let other clubs that aren't branded, in that top bracket, Bury non-existent, Wigan have suffered similar fate.
I was about to say Wigan, your neighbours, and they were really doing well up until that point deduction, because we were in the Championship at that time. They were making a surge, towards the playoffs. Suddenly they got that point deduction, and that's them gone. I think they've really struggled this year, So it's sad to see this happen, but nothing's going to happen to these big clubs. You watch, it'll be a slap on the wrist, no problems, everybody will go. But what they tried to do was actually basically saying, we don't care about the rest of these 14 clubs because we are the best top six. But if you notice, they weren't the best, because Leeds have not lost to a top six club at Ellen Road. We didn't. So, there's the football needs to be played on the pitch, not in boardrooms. That's what I think.
No, 100%, totally agree with you. Well said. It startles me a little bit with what's going on, because as you've said, we've done similar in results. Like the win against Liverpool, the win against we've not done the double over Arsenal, but we're unbeaten against them this season. I mean, it won't surprise me if everybody else is as well, because they've been awful for Arsenal. But it sort of ruins the history of clubs as well, doesn't it? We are part of a founding member of the Football League that initially, started football as a whole, pretty much. So, when you sort of casting everybody to one side like they're just nothing, it's just, we all know it's pure greed. We all know that, because all these big clubs are in billionaire owners, and this is another thing. I think it has to be points deduction if there is any sort of repercussions, because a fine isn't going to mean anything for them. It's like handing pocket money out to the kids.
Absolutely.
It's just one of them, and it really grinds on me a little bit.
I think a transfer embargo would be good for 2 years or a year, and
Chelsea were under one before, weren't they, if I remember rightly?
And you could see the struggle that they had in that year, and that then gives the other teams, I'm not talking about Leeds, it gives everybody a chance to close that little gap on the top six. Okay, we all love our clubs, but we also enjoy the rivalry of playing these kind of teams. And we all have, Leeds have got a rivalry with Man United. For 16 years we've missed that rivalry with the likes of Liverpool, Man United, well, not Man City as such, but Chelsea, Arsenal. There is something about it, but we've missed that. And then just for it to be taken away because these guys decide, oh, we don't want to play you guys because we want to play AC Milan. Because we don't fancy. Okay, so say they're going to be playing AC Milan on Wednesday and they turn up to Turf Moor. They're going to just chuck in a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
They're not going to give you guys the same respect. They're not going to give Leeds United the same respect. They're not going to give Everton. Everton will play Liverpool on a Saturday. They're derby rivals, but they may rest their players because they got that big match on Tuesday against Barcelona. So that's the kind of thing that they were just going to ruin the Premier League.
Yeah, it's just disrespectful because it also ruins the whole of the pyramid, the Champions League, European spots. Teams like like yourself this season, you're breaking into that top 10. Obviously, it's not confirmed as of yet whether you're in the top 10 or not, but solidifying a top 10 finish or flirting around that area is a good a good spot for you guys. But next season we'll also be looking to progress onto that and hopefully achieve a Europa League position if we can keep the squad intact and just add that little bit of depth and a little bit more quality. So it sort of, managers wouldn't care. You wouldn't be looking for a manager with tactical, ability sort of thing. You could go and lose your manager one week and then you might as well pluck somebody from League Two because you've got nothing to play for. So why go for someone that's just gonna not do anything? I mean, I suppose we could talk about the Super League for hours and hours because it's so so up and down, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's something else comes out, in the midst of in between now and the end and the start of next season where there's sort of something, especially with the likes of Juventus and a few of the other teams that still haven't come out of it yet. So
that's a bit of a worry, isn't it? But let's see.
There is a bit of scope.
I think they're going to play it out and see what kind of sanctions the Premier League gives them, and then they'll weigh it up. And I think they might do another tilt for the Super League. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope they don't. I mean, what is some of your memories of past matches between us then? I mean, I do remember some of the Championship encounters. We've had quite a few decent ones.
There was a 7-5 one, wasn't there? That was quite an epic game. But like I said, it's you guys have just yo-yoed a lot, haven't you? You've played. I've always found it very, very difficult to play against Burnley. Even in the Championship, we there used to be a lad who always used to score against us, Robbie Blake.
Oh yeah.
He played for us as well, actually. Robbie Blake.
Yeah, him and Ian Moore both played.
Ian Moore, blast from the past. Players I don't, in all honesty, it was like I used to watch them, and I just used to think to myself, oh dear, this is what we've come down to, and that's not me being disrespectful. It was just, it was like, we had the likes of Paul Ocon, Paul Butler, and Richard Naylor, and then it just went bad to worse. Where you guys progressed. I mean, in that period, Burnley as a football club done really, really well. You guys solidified your financial status as well, which was very important for a club to go into Premier League and then yo-yo into. You were well equipped to stay in the Championship, then straight back promoted, kind of thing. So I have to give you guys credit for that.
No, I mean, thanks very much. It's difficult from our perspective because we've spent 750k this year, which is not a lot, but we've managed to obviously stay in the Premier League, which is massive, especially on that budget. The pandemic, etc. January, we've had a takeover by American owners. Then obviously there's been all this hoo-ha around American owners for the Super League. So our owners have sort of sat back and gone, yeah, just forget about us. We're trying to do the right thing. So yeah, it's for us this year, going into next season. this summer's massive for us. And to see what we're doing. I mean, I'm just going to put some shots up on screen because we have announced that we're sort of bringing Turf Moor into the modern era. So we're sticking a few LED lights in there, shall we say?
Oh, lovely!
It does look a bit commercialized, a bit Americanized. Expect the kiss cam, ladies and gentlemen. It's probably going to be in there at some point. But yeah, we are going to try and give it more of a feel. Internally and externally. I think externally, all the signs you can see there will all be changing. You'll have your team lineups, etc. It's going to be decent from the club. It gives us a bit more modernisation for sort of a ground that's stood the test of time. It's done its bit, hasn't it? Really, it's an old school stadium that hasn't changed much apart from a lick of paint, which we had to wait for the Premiership money to kick in just for a tub of paint. So no, it's good what the owners are doing, and fingers crossed they can sort of progress with players on the pitch and back Sean Dash, since they want him to stay. Obviously he's got a year left on his contract, so fingers crossed he'll I think he will sign on. Personally, I think again he's a bit like Bielsa, where he's building a legacy. He's not. He can't just jump ship. Well, he can if he wants, but to us, it's like, you're not leaving, mate. Your hands are tied. Onto the game then. What would your predicted lineup be for Leeds? I mean, you've got a lot of players in form. So, what's your predicted lineup?
Well, I've done a preview video for this particular match today, and I found it really, really difficult to actually put the lineup or predict a lineup because Marcelo Bielsa always does when you've got the answers to his questions, he'll just change those questions. He's like that. But I think it's the first time this season that we've actually got a healthy squad. That means completely healthy, touching wood somewhere here, but we have got a healthy squad this time around, and we haven't had that, and we don't make a song and dance about it like Liverpool. Oh, we've lost Van Dijk, and that's it. That's the end of it. Bielsa does not make any excuses. If you notice, if you've heard his press conferences, when he's speaking about the game, he'll say it as it is, and we've not had a settle back for all these players that you see: Rafinha, Rodrigo, Robin Koch, Diego Llorente. These four have not played at the same time this season. No, because Diego Llorente, when he signed with us, he was injured for about 2 months. He tried to get a game. He got injured in the first 2-3 minutes of his debut, and he tried again after 6 weeks, setback after setback, went on international duty, got injured again. We've not had a settle back for such a long time now. So this is the first time we're going to see the likes of Strike and Llorente and Robin Koch, and that might be the pairing. And we might see Calvin Phillips as well in the mix in that sort of lineup as well. Rafinha, I'm hoping he plays because he's the kind of player that we need. But like I said, it's gonna be a very, very hard game. You've got a big squad. You're very tall. You're a very physical side, and you've got that approach to the game where I find it very sort of Darth Vader style of football. It's not cricket, but it does the job, doesn't it? But it is going to be a difficult game. It's going to be hard, and but I like I said, it's not one that I'm taking lightly. But I do feel confident that we could win.
No, I totally agree. It's a game that could go either way. It always sort of has. I mean, we all have to touch on our last game together. You took the 3 points, fair enough, but it was a scrappy game.
It was.
Everybody sort of left everything on the pitch that day, in my opinion. I mean,
it was a very hard game.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, our lineup's been, I've said it numerous times. It's the same week in, week out. Has been for years. But yeah, we have. Darch has actually come out and said that we've got a few injuries. So hopefully Pope gets through till Saturday, and we can, sort of have him in. If not, it'll be a return for Peacock Farrell against his former club. Obviously, our back four's got to be Lawton, me, Tarkowski, and another former Leeds player in Charlie Taylor. Then on the right, we will have Josh Brownhill, who's not our out-and-out right midfielder, but he's had to be due to the injuries to our wingers, Gudmundsson and Brady. So he'll be out there. Cork and Westwood in midfield, who have been solid for a good number of seasons now together. It works really well. Dwight McNeil, our little bright spark on the left, and the pressing forwards at the moment that seems to be working for Chris Wood and Matej Vidra. So, it's it's one of those things. I could probably rhyme off Burnley's starting lineup more than I could rhyme off date of births from my own family, to be honest, because it's that similar every single game. I mean, regarding your lineup, who would be your danger man in the game? I know you touched on Rafinha, and I thought maybe that's someone you'd pick. But is that the case, or is there somebody else in the pipeline you'd pick as your danger man?
We've got the team depending. See, the thing is, we haven't got no out and out stars. Now you say you made a great point that your team is unchanged, and Bielsa's a believer of success like that is an unchanged side, and I think your players get used to playing each other, and I think that's why you've been very successful in that kind of in the lower standings of the Premier League out of those clubs. You're a very settled team. You're very organised. There's everybody knows their jobs, and that's because you don't do too many changes. He knows his best 11. He's very old school like that. He's going to go 4-4-2. He knows what you're going to get, and that that's the same sort of thing with us, where we have got threats, but ours is more. It's like a team play. So we've got Rafinha, obviously, who's the standout player, but Bielsa ball, once it works, the goals could come from anywhere. Stuart Dallas is a key man for us. Patrick Bamford as well just makes everything tick. Calvin Phillips does. He's a danger man as well, because it's not danger men are not. I think danger men are not the ones that get the goals in, but it's somebody who can put that shift in. That can create danger in itself, and so I think it could happen from all parts of the pitch, really. But it's going to be a good game. It's a lunchtime kickoff, isn't it?
Yeah, 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, live on BT Sport. 15th position against 10th. I mean, I like Luke Ayling at your side. I think he's a quality defender. I mean, I was watching a podcast recently about how his move to Leeds actually came about, which was quite funny, really. He mentioned about Carl Bartley had just come in, and he said, "Look, I'm not really getting much game time here." I think it was either Bristol City or Barnsley at the time he was at.
Bristol City.
Yeah, and he sort of said, "Right, well, do they need a right back? Do they need somebody to come in?" And he mentioned something about it and thought, "Oh, it probably nothing had come of it." And then something to do with a pre-season or something, and Leeds have come in with a bid for you. So if I remember rightly, the people on the podcast said, "I'm sure you owed Carl Bartley quite a few drinks after that." So he said, "Oh yeah, I paid him back in drinks." Yeah. But no, he's a quality defender, and he's been around your club for many a year now, hasn't he? It's been at least 3-4, probably a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, if we cast our minds back when you bought Chris Wood off us for 15 million, I think. Charlie Taylor
Yeah.
came in for that. You were spending, I think this year, okay, you spent 750,000 or whatever it was, but prior to that, you have spent a fair bit, which you know you have to. You have to
Oh
get
yeah, of
that
course you do. Yeah.
quality. You can't just stay in the Premier League and not spend anything. But I think you bought the right players, and when he came in, Luke Ayling, we were we needed a right back because we were playing Berardi, and then we had Charlie Taylor at the left hand side. And then when Charlie Taylor left, we pushed Berardi at left back, and then Ayling came in, and it sort of worked out like that. So he wasn't a direct replacement for Charlie Taylor. I don't think he was, but what he was most of these players pre Bielsa were different players.
Yeah.
What you're seeing here is a you'll never see it ever again. It can only happen with Marcelo Bielsa's coaching. He's made players better. He's made fans like myself see football in a different way. And I also believe that once they leave the footballing world, they'll be better people because footballers are great people. They do a lot for charity and stuff like that. You only find a few who are probably, money orientated. Majority of it are very, very good human beings, and they do that. And, you've got players at your club who probably have worked, really, really hard within the community and go into schools and stuff like that. I, as a singer, I do that as well. It's just a part of your way of being a human being, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
footballers are like that as well. So, but Bielsa, for me, he actually sorts people's attitudes out. So, he doesn't like these kind of prima donnas in the club, and that's why that going back to that original question that you asked me, would he go to Tottenham? I don't think he can deal with the attitude of like a Dele Alli. Sorry to
Yeah.
say, you
Totally
know,
agree.
that's what you're seeing with Luke Ayling. He was a guy who's come from the lower leagues, and he's hungry. He's actually hungry for success, isn't he? And you could see the hunger in him the way he's playing. He's got this Premier League, and this opportunity. Finally, somebody's believed in him. Look at Patrick Bamford. You know, but I always thought Bamford was very good in the Championship as well. And the Championship, as you know, Dan, is a very, very difficult league to get out.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
You've got to respect. You've got to respect the Championship and the way they play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. It is a tough league to get out of. And Patrick Bamford spent most of his time there. So, the extra space and extra yards that he gets in the Premier League, I think he's happy for it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you see a lot of these people now, like Bamford, who, he got his grounding at Chelsea, sort of thing. He was nurtured through their youth system. Went out on loan a couple of times. I mean, he were even at us for a season on loan. It didn't work out with him at our place. I think it's well documented that he kind of hated his spell at us. Now I don't know what's going on back, in backstage for all of that. But it's worked out for him, and fair play to him, because sometimes a bit of tough loving or also just being accepted, makes you feel, a bit more relaxed, and
Yes.
you find yourself a bit more like you can just let loose, be you, play
Yeah.
your type of football, which I think that's what Bielsa's let Bamford do this season, and sort of it explains itself in his goal tally this year. Nobody expected Bamford to churn out as many goals as he has done this year. I mean, the fact that you went out and bought Rodrigo, it was a case of, right, we need quality and depth up front,
Yeah.
because he probably didn't think would Bamford be our out and out, but he's proved Bielsa wrong, and Bielsa stuck with that, which is something the likes of like Fulham haven't done. They've always relied on Mitrovic. This season under Scott Parker, they've not. He's not. Scott Parker doesn't seem to, want to play Mitrovic. Now, I don't know whether that's just a fallout between the two or something, but he could have been the difference for Fulham. So, yeah, it's good to have players in form. Fingers crossed that they're not in form on Saturday. But, yeah, everybody, if you want, we are going to get the score predictions. So if you want to put your score predictions in the comments, fire away. Crazy as you like, honestly, go for it. I'll put a 7-0 up on screen if that's what you want to write. Just, go mad. But no, we'll ask you. Obviously, like we've said, they're always tough games. But yeah, what's your score prediction for Saturday afternoon?
I think there'll be a goal in it. I'm going definitely for a Leeds United win. I never shy away from that. And but it's going to be a tough game, and it's going to be a hard game. The first goal is very, very important. Yeah, if we get the first goal early, then it can be open season on you guys. But I would say for Leeds, I'll go 2-1 to us. Make it a bit different from my preview video.
No, I mean we've not really been great at home this season, which is probably a reason why for us having fans at Turf Moor is key. That having that 12th man behind you turns them draws into wins. So playing at home at the moment, which is as you know over the past couple of seasons, has always been Fortress Turf Moor. It's not at the moment. Maybe that's why we're getting LED lighting to make it more of a modern day fortress. But it scares me sort of this game because the history between the two sides. It's always, even in the Championship, been a bit of a backhanded rivalry, shall we say? It's sort of been it's a Lancashire versus Yorkshire sort of territory. It's a bit like a dumbed down Celtic and Rangers, isn't it? So
yeah. In the chat. Sorry.
No, go on. What were you saying?
In the Championship, because we couldn't play Man United, this was that Pennines derby, wasn't it? I was just about to break into that because of Lancashire and Yorkshire. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen you as direct rivals, but I do believe that they've been tough games, Dan. They have been tough games, but you know what? You give anybody a tough game. That it's not just Leeds. The one thing with Burnley, I've never seen you guys not try. You're always trying, and you're always going to give it a go. And
unless it's Man City, and then we just roll over like a lost puppy on our belly and get tickled and get beat 5-0. So.
But they're a phenomenal side, though. I've got to give credit to Pep Guardiola, and you've got to congratulate them. They are, I like Manchester City, as in, apart from their, top six. But to be fair to them, they were the first team to leave the Big Six, the European Super League. So you got to give them credit there. But I've got to say, they do play football the right way, and they're not very arrogant about it. I remember when Manchester United used to win all those trophies, and Alex Ferguson, he was a very arrogant guy.
He's always on touchline doing this, isn't he? And
where Pep doesn't do that, and you got to, I like Pep Guardiola, but yeah, it's I think the right team won the Premier League.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, shout out to Manchester City for winning the league already. Obviously, we'll touch on everything that's gone on in the season in a couple of weeks when we do our end of season review. But see, I don't know what to predict for this game. I usually sit on the fence. I'm such a draws kind of person. I don't fancy us at home, so I'm going to have to say 1-1.
Okay.
I mean, that's me trying to hope that Burnley sort of put a performance in. Chris Wood's obviously got a goal in him. Your guys have got a good attacking threat. Like the missus has just put now, she's unsure of this game. Think it'll be a toughie regardless. She's right in this. She's sat other side of this camera. She's earwigging anyway. So
Fantastic, that is.
But at least she's back in my corner. At least she's sat here, and you know
she's a good wife. She's a good wife.
Yeah, well, she will be one day. She will be one day. Fiance for now, but she'll get an upgrade at one point. Hopefully not me, not an upgrade on me. Hopefully the ring an upgrade. But but yeah, I'll take 1-1. Honestly, thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and good luck with the music and everything, and the channel, obviously, which is similar to us, has been done out of lockdown and everything. So again, where can people find your stuff and give yourself another plug?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me on your channel, and like I said, thank you to your people who've actually logged in, and and your fiance as well, for the comments and everything. And yeah, it's just been excellent. Nice to talk to a Burnley fan. I don't know many, but I'm good. I'm glad that I've made a fellow Burnley fan a friend as well. So
yeah, 100%.
Come over on my channel. I have a program which is a show that I call the Fan View. So I usually talk to the fans, but in the close season, I'll be doing a bit more of that because I'll have a little bit more time. But yeah, basically, if your subscribers want to check out the first ever Punjabi Leeds United song that I sang, it's called Marching On Together, Fans Gonde Boliyan. And go and check that out. Just Google Jinder Jade and Bhangra music, or Bhangra song, Leeds Bhangra, and you'll find it. And yeah, just keep it logged on to the El Loco Leeds football channel, because we do like to do, like I said before, match previews and previews, not on a biased level, and I try never, it's very family friendly, and we don't, I'd say we, because I'm part of a Leeds group, so we always try to keep it sort of, child friendly as well, kind of thing, and so we have no swearing or anything like that, and it's just nice, wholehearted football entertainment.
No, it's good what you're doing. So as Jinder Jade has said, please head on over. I have listened to the song as well. Absolutely fantastic, mate. It's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, do check it out. Do check out his channels and everything else. Please don't forget, obviously, most of you in this chat will probably be Burnley fans. If you're not, then thanks for coming along anyway and just listening in. Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow all our socials at Cricket Field End, or the Cricket Field End. Again, Jinder Jade, thank you very much for coming on. And as I say to other people, good luck for the rest of the season after Saturday.
Thank you. And